is an overview of the Intellimodz product. You can go to the videos link and watch the overview video. You can create a company that will then allow you to create users. And the way that you create users will be changing to be more friendly. At this point, when you create a company, there's an ID that each user needs to use to create the user account. Up until the changes are made, that's the way that user accounts will need to be created. We will be implementing where emailing and other methodologies for creating user accounts will be possible. When you come into the Intellimods product, you'll see various modules, submodules themselves. To get some orientation, you have control items up above. The product's made out of models, and so this is a whole model, and the models are made out of modules. And so in the models tab, I can create new models if I want. I can open ones that I have. I'm told which one is my home model, but I can create other models if I would like to. And so you can create any number of structures. The replica simply just opens up another tab and opens up a window in the same location you are, so you can do some cross-matching if needed. Preferences give you various default items that you can set to manage how you come into Intellimodz and the various feature sets that are there. Bookmarks allow you to bookmark modules as you go through and create them, or others have them. You can bookmark different modules that will take you to specific areas. There's a home module that also, when you click home, will take you immediately there. You can also get to home by clicking right here. There's a document library, and this is a repository of all documents that have been loaded for this particular model. And then they can be referenced by the various modules. You can see on the side I can create folders and I can drag and drop into them. To create a folder, I simply right-click and I can add a folder. I can rename a folder if I'm clicking on a particular folder here, for example. Then I would add a folder to this one, and it would add a subfolder. And it's a subfolder to the folder I was on. You can see that it allows you to structure when the document library itself is all of the documents. And you can open up all documents using the icon. You can drag them into subfolders. Now they still reside in the main library, but now there's a reference to them that's linked into each of the tabs. And so through this you can create tab structures and you can organize documents. You also can link these, and I'll show you how you do this. You can link them to the modules, and that's a very powerful way to keep things organized. I can edit them, I can give access rights, I have versioning, where I can see how many versions I have, and I can select the version I want to open. If I choose, I can delete them. So this is the document library. You can add documents through this method or in various other methods that I'll show. The employee tab gives you information about employees, and the individual you're signed into is highlighted, and you can see all that information. If I open up somebody else, I have restricted access to that individual's information, and I can see some things, but not all. Reports, there's a few reports that are available at this level, and you'll have to go through and take a look at them and see how they work for you. But there's module reports, task reports, and responsibilities of items that that you're responsible for. So if I come back now after going through these, also on top there's a search. If I do a search, it's a very powerful search method, and it allows me to do sub-searches or searches in more granular ways with these areas down here. But it does give me all of the hits that I have for what I've searched for and this test, and then I can come down here and I can click on the link, the path, and it will take me directly to that location, whether it's a document or a module or a task or what have you. It takes me to that specific location. I also have a communication tool, and I can send messages to individuals and they can send messages to me. If I click on an individual and I can communicate with them and they can communicate back. We have groups that can be set up similarly for communications. And then we have a general tab here that allow tagging of submodules and tasks. Then I can tag tasks and then I create tags here. And then I would apply these tags in these various areas. So it allows tagging and communication and grouping. So for example, I create these tags here, and if I'm in a communication here, I can say, oh, there's some information here I want to tag. And so I'm going to tag this, and it's tagged as message tag. Whatever one I put there, and I could add multiple tags to it if I wanted to. Now that is this how you is tagged when I now come into the messages tag is tagged into this environment, and I can do similar kinds of things with tasks. If I have various tasks, and you'll see how the tasks work, then I can open these and communicate directly to individuals who are assigned to tasks. And so anybody who's assigned to this collections dev, I can have a message with them, and that's specifically for this task, and I can create a conversation around this specific task. So tabs, similarly, I can create messages around specific tabs that are communicated, and anybody that comes into this module that I'm in right now, here, this links tasks, they'll be able to see this messaging content and be able to be a part of the conversation. So this is around collaboration. If I have a message coming to me, there's going to be a red number. It'll tell me how many, and when I open it, it will allow me to see who has not responded to me or who has given me a message that I've not read. And as soon as I read it, the red icon goes away that's on top here. This is a breadcrumb trail that tells me where I'm at any point in time. So submodules, these allow me to build submodules and or modules, if you will. And so this would be considered a module, and these are the submodules for the parent right here. So these are parent, these are children. The numbers indicate what level I'm at. I'm at level 1, and I have 9 submodules underneath me. And you can see that this one, here's module 1. This one has 5, so there's 5 underneath this one. So I have 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 4 here, and then I have 5 underneath this one, which gives me the 9. So it tells me at any point in time how many submodules, and then I can see the levels that I go into. I can adjust the size of the submodules by clicking here. I can create filters for submodules. There's a view function that allows me to see it kind of generally in this format, but allows me to move and drag and drop things. Adding modules then, if I wanted to add a module, so I can add modules in either of two ways. I can click the Add Module, and it will add a module down at the bottom. Or I can position and in between modules. So creating a module by selecting in between modules, you can see the cursor is linking, and I can right-click, and I can add a new module anywhere I want. And so by doing that, I can position the cursor, the module. If I just click Add Module, it creates it on the last, and then I can take the module and I can move it wherever I want to. And I can position that, how I like, and move it. But if I use the cursor, I can create it immediately where I want to. And the cursor is really helpful when you have a lot of modules that go, far right and down. So if I'm, for example, in the model that I have, if I were to select Add a Module, then it'd take me all the way down to the very bottom, and I'd have to come down here, and then I'd have to drag it way up, which I can. But the other is I just go where I want to, and I say, oh, I want one right in between these two, and I click that one, and I right-click, and if I can get my cursor over there. I right-click here, and I can add a module right in between the two. I can also do the same if I, over on the parent, if I want to add a module in between two right here, I can click the cursor and right-click. So 2 ways to add modules as we're going through. Now, modules can be dragged and dropped. And if I were to drag a parent, it will drag all the child modules. So you'll notice if I click on a parent module and go to move it, let me come to maybe a submodule where there's fewer. But if I click on one, you can see that it moves all the submodules. And if I want to move this up, then I move module 11 up, and I have the 7 submodules underneath it. Now, if I want to move it back down, then I can, and at that point I can see all the submodules. So I can move modules around to reorder them, and or to add them. And so again, if I, say I put my cursor here, I want to add a new module here, then I can add that module wherever I want. If I want to add one in between parent modules, then I can position the cursor that way. Now, I can also, in addition to dragging and dropping, I can cut, copy, delete, rename, opening it takes me to that module, and so I have these various options. If I copy, then I have a few options as well, and I can come over here and I can position the cursor, and I right-click, and I can paste, or I can paste a reference module. If I paste, then I'm going to move that module, and I'm going to paste it here. Yeah, or excuse me, I copied this one, so I'm going to paste a new copy of it. And it's going to be a whole new copy that I can change and edit. If I paste a reference, then this is a reference to the original module and submodule, and I cannot change it. It only refers to the original module. And so if I do a paste, then that's the dotted line. Now this will always reference this module, this submodule right here. And if I change this one, then I see the changes here, but I cannot change this one because this is a reference. Now I can right click on this one and I can go to the original one, but this is now a reference module to this one. And it's just a pointer, if you will, to this module. It's this submodule. So that's kind of modules themselves. You can see up here, over here on the left, you see the full modules themselves. If I click on a module and open it up, so this is the module I'm in right now. This shows me the module that I am working on. And if I wanted to go to a different one, say this test parent, I would double click on it, and now I'm in test parent. And you see I get positioned over here to test parent, and that shows me where I am in the whole scheme of things. And so at any point in time, I can see where I'm at and the modules up above me and below me and where I'm at. You can shrink these by clicking here, and this shrinks all the child modules underneath it, or I can expand them. So this gives you kind of all the modules, and it's your framework of where you are, and then we highlight the module that you're currently in. So those are submodules and how you would manage them. Now, when I'm in a module, and again, this tells me which module I'm at. If I'm in the submodules tab, I'll see any modules underneath me. And so I'm in new module, but underneath me I see mod 6-1, which is mod 6-1. See new modules right here. I see parent test, or test parent, all of these. Now mod 96, I've shrunk this. So if I open this and I see mod 96 changed right here, I see I have a module underneath this one, which is this mod 96 changed as well. And the asterisk here, the yellow asterisk, tells me that these are reference modules. As compared to a fully functional module that does not have the yellow asterisk. And so at any point in time, you can see the modules that you have. You can see if it's a reference module or a full module. You can shrink things up or expand them down. So that's the submodules. Now, a module is a container, as you've seen in probably in your early video, and it's a container of all of this information up above here. And so now that it's a container, I'm in new modules, I can go to workflow. And this tells me the workflow in the new modules. Now, if I had tasks here, it would show me tasks. If I had boards, I could have boards. If I had any of these, I could create Gantt charts, and I could see the task list. So let me go to my home. And home takes me to my preferences. And in my preferences, my preference takes me to this module, and it takes me to the workflow tab, and underneath the workflow, it takes me to the tabs, or to the boards. And I can see tasks, and so these are all the tasks that I have. These are pending tasks here. If I want to change to all tasks, I can. I can look at completed, I can look at archived, and I can look at only tasks that are assigned to me. And this tells me how many there are in any one of these categories. Now, tasks, I can move them around and reposition them. These are subtasks here that I can reposition as well. And so I have a bunch here. I can contract or expand these by this little icon, but I can also move them around and reposition them. And so if I want to, this one updates to be moved down, then I can move that down. And it repositions these. If I want to move it from one task to another, I could move this one over. And I could position that, this one here, wherever I wanted to. And say I want to position it down here. Then I can move these between as well. Now within a task, as you can see, I have subtasks, and if I expand one of these, then you can right-click on any one of these icons, and it, or not right click, just click on, and it opens up a page. And the page I can look at the properties, I can look at comments that I have, and the comments is this icon. I can look at files and links that are attached, and that's this icon. It tells me who was assigned to this task, and that's here. And so I can, while I have this open, I can also click through these and I can see if there's any files that are linked to them. Now, if I had any files linked to this task, it would also, it would give me a number here. And so the number is 0. I can see I have 0 items in the checklist. I have 0 attachments. I can set a start date and an end date, and if I do that, then it will propagate that information here. I can select labels if I choose, and that will tag this with a label. And I have both company labels and I have personal labels that I can create for my own. So the company levels are a company created by the company, and they're normalized across all modules for the company. Personal labels are ones that I've created for my own self, and I can add them. And so I can add any number of these, and it tells me which ones I have added. I can create a task list just by typing. And it creates checklists that I can come and I can check, and if I check it, then it identifies it as complete. But it also tells me over here I have 3 tasks now. And if I wanted to add a comment, for example, then I would add a comment and I would save that one. And so I have a comment here, and I see now also for this task I have a comment. If I wanted to link a file to this particular task, then I could come here and I could either add a document or I could link a document. Now, linking a document will open up the document library, and these are all documents that I've uploaded previously, and it will allow me then to go through and identify any of the documents that I've created in the past, and I could link them here. And then these are just links, and I can use this to open up these documents if I want. I can edit them, delete them. This shows me the versioning like over in the document library. So at a task level, you have the ability to really pull together a lot of information. And once I've created all that information, it's contained in here, and I can come and I can see who's assigned. I can see comments. Tasks are here, and if I want to shrink this, I can shrink it, but I still see the tags that I've given myself. So I can create a new card. So these are, I said subtasks, so these are cards. I can add a new card, and that creates then a new one for me here. If I want to create a new task, then I add a task here, and that would create a new task. And it positions it on the far right, and then it looks for an initial card. So this is just creating a task kind of container, and I want the card, at least one, which really tells me what I'm going to do with this task, and I can again add multiple cards to it. So I can also take these and reposition them as I would like, and drag them over and push them wherever I would like to push them. Now, in preferences, you also have the ability to order automatically depending on priorities. And so I can open one of these, and I can set them at a priority level, and I could set them high, medium, or low. And if I set them high and I have the automation set, then all of my high preference items come to the top, medium, low. So it's in high, medium, and low. And it automatically positions them for me. If I have tasks with dates on them, then I can look at the Gantt chart, and it will show me, Gantt chart information, and I can go by week or month or day. I can expand or contract, and it tells me the information from the Gantt chart. I can export this if I want to into a PDF. If I want to look at items on a task level and export it into a Excel spreadsheet, I open this up, and this tells me the task name, the cards that I have underneath this task. So under Zoho 3.0, I have a whole bunch of tasks. I have start dates, I have end dates, I have responsible parties, I have the priorities, the percent completed, labels, board names that I would link this to, and I'll show you about boards, and then the status of whether it's pending or completed or what have you. So that's really how tasks work. Now, boards are created so that I can take any number of tasks and I can create boards. And so I would, in for me, for example, I come in here and I see I have a test board, and I have a number of different things here. Now, I can assign this to others. I can link to a board. So at a task level, I can right-click on the title, and I come up with title names. Now I have colors that I can select, and those are the top colors here. I can delete it, I can copy it, I can archive this. I can link it to a board, and so if I click this one, it tells me I'm linked to Blake already. But if I want to, link it to this test, then I link it. Now, if there are multiple cards in here, then it would ask me what order. There's only one, or multiple tasks, I should say, in that board. Then it would ask me what order. There's only one, so I just say link it. And but if I were to link another one to that board, then you can see that I have one already, and it says I'm going to position this one as card number 2 within, or task number 2 within that board, and I can select and say no, I want it to be number 1, and then I'm going to link it. So now if I were to go to boards, and if I were to go to this task, then these are the 2. And this is the one that I said I want first, and this is the one I said I want second. So those are boards, and it allows you to, this is a task, and it includes all tasks. Boards allow you to create boards. I add a new board here, and and then I can link tasks to it or put tasks to it. You have the Gantt chart, the task list. So those are the functionalities under workflow. Now, connections, you see, give you the ability to really pull together charts. And so from here, I can expand this, and I can see exactly what's happened, or what it would look like, what it does look like, so I can come and look at each of these and see them. I can add a new one, or I can edit one that I have. And if I'm editing one, then it opens up in a very full feature set where I can choose employees, and I can add those. And these are all the employees that are on the list, and I can search if I want. These are the modules that I have, and I can add modules over here. And so as I create modules, I can put them into a workflow, and I can search for them as well. And then there's general workflow kinds of icons that I can add in, and I can have them, do all the standard kinds of workflows that I want. So then I'm going to save this, and all the changes I made, and I'll exit. Now you can have as many of these as you want, and then these are again linked and aggregated together into my module that I have. And so I have all my workflow, I have all my connections, documents themselves. I can say, have documents that I want to add, and you can see documents I've added to this module. And so this is under the links tasks, and these are documents that I've linked in. And so I can, if there's not one here I need, I can add it. And when I add it, it does add it to the document library, but it also links it into this module. Now, strategies, I can come in here, and for this particular task, I can create a mission, vision, strategy, goals. This gives me a summary. If I go into any of these, then goals, for example, I can add goals. Strategies, I would add strategies. Vision is just a text here that allows me to add a vision, and mission the same way. So you can add those kinds of items. Assessments, you can look at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats for this particular module or the effort that's being worked for on here. Performance, I can look at metrics, execution, and so I can add metrics. I can add reference metrics from another module if I want, because it's referencing. These are metrics that are submodules, so I'm here, and if there's any metrics that are down here in these submodules, I can see them. And that's the same with documents as well. I can see documents, but then also I can see documents of submodules that are linked. And I can open these up, but everything that's underneath and is linked to submodules, I can see this information as well. So I see the hierarchy underneath me. We did performance collaboration. It's just basically it gives you notes, and it allows you to send an email to the module owner. And then details is pretty powerful because you can come in here and you can set access rights. So access rights is really important. I can have a module, and this is the module that I'm on, and I can have it as unrestricted for all, or I can add individuals. I could have this basically, I could say I want this restricted, and that means that nobody has access to it except me. But then I add exceptions, and I say, oh, these people can have unrestricted access. Oh, and this person can only view and read. And so it allows me to set restrictions. I also have group restrictions where I can add a group if I want to, and I have set some groups, for example. So a group would be if you had like a human resources group, and there's a master panel or a master control that will allow you to set up groups, and administrators can add individuals to groups. And so if this was a human resources group, it may have 10 individuals, and whatever I set the restrictions for this group, then it's given for that, for this item, it's given for every individual in that group. And so if I had a human resources group, and then I could add the human resources group setting here, I could set the restrictions. And then as people left and went, I don't have to change this in all the modules. I just go to the group and I add or remove individuals from that group. And then they inherit the restrictions that are provided or given here. I can give restrictions at a tab level if I want to. So that's a very powerful way to change, to look at this. These are logs, so these are change logs. This is the change log for the specific module that I'm in. I can see change logs for all my submodules, and so what's happened underneath me. I can manage filters for this module, and so I've added a few filters, and I can use these filter tags in various places. This is the process information that tells me who the owner is and particular information about this specific module. The employee list are individuals who are linked to the module itself. This is not propagating correctly right now, but this is an employee list that would say if I've got somebody linked to this module, then, well, it would be here. So I would add somebody here, and I'd say, okay, this individual is linked, and I want to save that. And so this particular individual then would, receive information or items pertaining pertaining particularly to this module and things that are going on with it. So that's the details section. So what you can see is through this, you have all of this information on these tabs for every module that's in here, and you can aggregate or pull together information on items. You can, at a module level, then I can say, oh, here's the master, and the master is the task, and then I have multiple subtasks, and I'm creating additional multiple subtasks as these things are created, and I can see all of the items here. Now, if I need a subtask to this one, then I would double click on this one, and I would say I want to add a task. And so now at any point in time, I can move up a level, and so this tells me what level I'm at right now. I'm at level 3. Subtask level 3. If I want to go to level 2, then I can come to level 2, and here's the items that I've created, and I can either do that by the bread trail, or I can click on the module specifically over here, and it will position to the module that I have clicked on. And so if I click on this one, then it comes to the top, I can see all the modules. And then I can see the workflow for all of them, or connections, or documents, or then from here I can double click on a module, and it takes me into this specific one, and then I can look at the information for that particular module. So that's the basics around Intellimodz.